Good morning, everybody. This is Recovery Dude. It is another Monday morning, and happy Monday to everybody. Something came up yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up on here. And the title for this video is Winter is Coming. Now, what I mean by that, it's literal and figurative. So for me, I live in Pittsburgh. Winter is literally coming for me. And I don't know about all of you that live in colder climates, but when winter comes around, that is a time of extreme boredom for me. I like to be outside a lot, so when the snow starts to fall, it starts to get frigid cold outside. My ability to go out and do things kind of decreases quite a bit. And for, I don't know, 4, sometimes 5 months out of the year, the weather's so crappy outside, I just don't feel like going outside. Unless there's a reason for it, like I'm going skiing, which costs a fortune these days, so I really don't do it that much. Now, figuratively, winter is coming. Now, we always have a winter coming. We might not know when it's coming, we might not know why it's coming. I mean, there could be something like a death in the family, a death of a friend, or any other number of terrible things that can happen in our lives. And are we ready? Are we ready for this winter, this storm? And that's the hard part, especially for an alcoholic or an addict. Because I know I always used to like to fall back on the drink. So if I was coming up against a tough time, I knew how to get through it. I would just have a drink. And I'd get through that, yeah, no problem. Of course, I'd create more problems during that time than I should be. The greatest thing about being sober today is when those winters come, I can actually be there for the other people. I can actually be a positive force rather than a negative force. But it's a tricky time. It's a tricky time for me, absolutely. I have to be in the right headspace, the right heart space, and I have to be truly connected to my higher power in order to be able to make it through those times. Now, if you ask me, well, how do you feel about winter coming up in Pittsburgh? Well, it's the beginning of December here, so we don't have snow yet, but it is coming. And if you ask me how I feel about it, I'm absolutely terrified. So I've been sober for 7, going on 8 months. Now, I've had 2.5 years before, and I've made it through a couple of winters. Will I say they were easy? Absolutely not. What I typically do during the winter, which again is the hardest time of the year for me to stay sober, is I ramp up my meetings. I go to more meetings in the winter than I do any other time of year. Because I need to constantly remind myself, if I come up with that solution to winter, which is drinking, it won't stop after winter. I'll be lucky if I make it through the winter. I'll probably end up in a 30-day rehab after, if I make it a month, if I go back to drinking and I make it a month before I end up back in a rehab, I'll consider myself lucky. Or unlucky, depending on how you want to look at it. But I have proven time and time again that when I go back to drinking, there's only one way to remove my head from my butt, and I have to go to a 30-day treatment center. I've tried so many detoxes, and I'll tell you, detoxes don't work for me. I come back out, I might get a couple of days clean, and I'm back to drinking. So I know that one drink is going to lead me to a 30-day rehab if I'm lucky. That's if I make it there. So think about, even if you live in a warmer climate, what type of winter might you have coming? And are you prepared for it? What are you going to do when it comes? Like, just as an example, there are places in the world where they don't have sun for 30 days out of the year. It's dark for 30 days. And have you ever noticed they close the bars when that time happens? Well, why? What is everybody going to go to? They're going to go to a drink. And that's just going to create more problems, and they know it. So they'll close all the bars so nobody can drink during that 30 days of night. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So even normies know that having a lot to drink during rough times is very bad because it creates a lot of problems. So we all have times of struggle ahead of us. We know it's coming. Life is not always easy. It's not always rainbows and cupcakes. So what are we doing to be prepared for those times? And I really have to think about this question myself because I have 4 or 5 months of a hard time ahead of me where I have to have a game plan in place to make sure I can I can't keep myself sober, but I have to have a game plan in place where others can help me to stay sober. I can do things for myself, but I also have to realize that there are going to be very difficult times where my avoidance of the drink is between me and God or me and my higher power. There's nothing else on planet Earth that might stop me from having that drink. So I have to maintain my spiritual connection. Because if I don't, we remember step one. If I'm only 99% sure of step one and that I'm powerless over that drink, then that means if I think about drinking 100 times, one of those times I'm going to drink. Well, if any of you are like me, I think about drinking a lot. So if I'm not in a good head, heart, and soul space, then that one time I'm very likely to pick up that drink. And for almost 8 months, I've been able to avoid picking up that drink. And it's because I'm taking a multifaceted approach to my recovery and I'm doing a bunch of different things to get me in the right headspace. When I notice my thought process isn't good, I try to change it. And I try to change it quick. And the more things I can get involved in, the easier that's going to be. So again, I kind of challenge you guys to think about what kind of winners you might have coming your way and what you can do to maintain your sobriety during those times. It's not going to be easy. I've done it, I've been there, and I guarantee you it's anything but easy. So I just wanted to give you that thought process and see what your thoughts are. And hopefully that helps all of you, but be prepared. Tough times are coming. Let's get through it sober together. Love you all. Have a great week.